down last night in Las Vegas. We'll start off the show today with Anthony Joshua's victory over Kubrat Pulev, defending his belts of the heavyweight, the heavy lineage that he has. As you know, he had to take care of Pulev as a mandatory tonight, which he did. 9th round stoppage, monster right hand over the top after feeding him a heavy dose of uppercuts to really set things up. That was his money punch of the night, really. Took his time. It was one of those things, I don't want to call it a vintage AJ performance because he's only damn 31 years old, so I don't want to make it seem like the guy's ancient. But I think definitely got back to some normalcy from the Andy Ruiz wins, where maybe he was a little bit more tentative as he was in the rematch, and was teetering on that. Some people were wondering if he was teetering on that, but I just think that he didn't fear the hand speed of Pulev, didn't feel like there was any volume, maybe a couple shots here every now and then, but nothing that really rocked his world. I did say going into this, though, with an Anthony Joshua fight, I do think because he's been caught with punches and the way that he lost Andy Ruiz, it's fair to go into every Anthony Joshua fight wondering if he's going to come out on top, wondering if he can be had. And he did have TCB tonight because it seemed like there is a big fight on the line with Tyson Fury. And it was good to see, we saw a vicious dosage of uppercuts in the 3rd round. Really went for broke there. And I think one of the big things with AJ is, even with him going for broke there, still looked like he was in really good shape thereafter. It's not like he put pedal to the metal completely up until the later rounds again, but he did not look gassed. That big muscled body, which sometimes can look like a Ferrari, but also can gas out pretty quickly. We didn't see that. I thought we saw an AJ that was in really good shape, was really crisp tonight, and was very impressive. And I think that if you are an Anthony Joshua fan, you're on that side of the tracks as far as him leading into a Tyson Fury fight. You had to be pretty happy with that, because I do think that if you would have let this go on the distance with a guy that really didn't have anything back for him, you probably would have had some questions. And that's knowing that Pulev is a tough guy to put away. Don't get me wrong, but look, AJ's a vicious puncher. I mean, that's a giant body. And when it's precise with it, we've seen him be able to finish just about everybody and put down just about everybody. So there's no reason that should go away. And that is going to be, if he goes and beats Tyson Fury, that's got to be the way he goes and beats him. I find it hard to believe that he would find his way to go get a decision nod against Fury, just the way Fury moves. I'm sure the toughness that there is to get inside Fury's reach. Fury's going to be bigger, all that type of stuff. I think it's going to be tough for him. So he does need to find that killer instinct and be able to have that gas tank. And I think we saw a lot of that tonight. So that was good. I think from AJ, a lot of the questions that maybe people had going into this, was he on the other side of it? Was he a guy who was mentally rattled? I saw Teddy Atlas in the middle of it was saying, well, like there's still some of those Andy Ruiz ghosts in the attic of AJ. And I think, you heard the broadcast crew, my guy, Brian Kenny, he was out there. He was bringing that up because, he loves to bring up first take debate topics when calling a fight. But I actually thought this was a fair question. Is he teetering from, too cautious to setting himself up? And I think the entire broadcast crew was probably leaning towards, he was being a little bit too cautious, but he knew that uppercut was there all day and night. It really was. He landed a bunch of them. And the times that he didn't hit it, I mean, it was near misses on Pulev. He really just didn't have an answer for that punch all night. And it is one of his best weapons. I mean, it's the weapon that got him the championship. So I thought a really good performance from AJ. I think that as good as you could want going into this unification, obviously you have Floyd Mayweather in the building. I would have liked if Tyson Fury was in the building. That would have, I think, put the cherry on top of what could have been a great day for heavyweight boxing. Couple things. One, it was awesome to have the fans back. There's no fans like the British boxing fans. They are, I think, the best in the game. And even with 1,000 of them there, just really liven things up. So it was great to have them back. The one thing I'll always say about AJ with his personality, he is a little bit too cool for school. almost borderlining on the realm of a bit of a lame-o when it comes to some of his answers. And so, you know, he didn't. I'll give credit to, I guess, DAZN/Sky. I don't know who had the British broadcast. I know it was carried in America here on DAZN. So whoever was doing the questions, they did it a couple of times. And one, I don't know where he's going. He was like in this huge rush. Like, I don't want to do interviews. Like, bro, what have you been doing for the last year? You don't have a couple of minutes to do those interviews. And I do think that, you know, with boxers, that is the window where everybody is waiting with bated breath on your every word. Like, that is your time. You're getting your hand raised. That's where everybody is listening to you. Anybody who's a fan of the sport is tuned in at that point. And so I just never get this, because there is just this thought process. I don't know if it's created by Mayweather. I don't know if this goes back, how far this goes back. I'm sure it goes back ways away in boxing, but like, just this dismissal of the fight that people want to see, you know? And so, like, when the reporter is asking him about the Tyson Fury fight, first of all, thank you for at least asking about it and not skating it like Fox did the week beforehand, where they just went, oh, well, what do you want to do next? And he's just like, I want to go buy a horse. Okay, great. Like, I just don't understand that, because everything is seemingly, you're leaving money on the table. You know, you're using these opportunities. And so, as many people may see you on Max Kellerman's show or on First Take or on, you know, Sirius XM or DAZN or whatever, whoever, you know, if you're on our show, anybody, as many people may hear you on that, you're never going to get as many eyes as you do as all the boxing fans who are tuning in then and there to watch you. And so I know I say this as a media guy, so I obviously always want the media soundbite, but I look always as that as such a missed opportunity for fighters, even the big ones, even the guys like AJ who have scaled the mountains. You have a monster fight here in your nation. You are fighting back in the UK for the first time in a couple of years. You have the first event there with fans, the first combat event there with fans. I know that they've had some soccer fans there and whatnot, but they would go bananas for you. You're the golden boy. And, you know, it's not, and you know, it's not like AJ ignored it, but it could have been better. Tyson Fury, though, he did answer. He got on social media. Let's hear a little bit from the self-proclaimed lineal champion, the Ring Magazine, the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. Here is what Tyson Fury had to say.
Hello everyone, Anthony Joshua, himself live on television. He got asked did he want to fight, and he went around the bushes and put his hand on the edge. I want the fight. I want the fight next. I'll knock him out inside 3 rounds. He's a big bum dosser.
So Tyson not mixing words. He wants the fight, you know, which is not surprising. I don't know what else there is for him right now. And that's what you should want. You know, you should want these guys just calling each other out. This is obviously the heavyweight championship of the world. It is a huge fight in their native UK. And so it's good that at least in the post-fight that we're working towards it. So as far, if like you would have graded against the Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford botch job the last few weeks, A+. Could have, I think, been better on AJ's part to call it out. And I know that Eddie Hearn kind of saved it and says we're going to get to work on Monday. Bob Arum or his intern tweeting out that they're going to start working on it on Monday. Start working on it on Sunday. You know, I don't know what you guys are up to. Get to it. It's going to be nice to finally have an undisputed champion. You know, that's, you know, the great part of it, because we've been on this journey really since Vladimir Klitschko and Tyson Fury getting his belts taken away. And, you know, Deontay's had that WBC belt forever. You know, now it's on the shoulders of Tyson Fury, and we have a chance to finally unite all the belts and have somebody who is the guy. And I think it's a good fight. I do think that AJ, I put him as an underdog in this fight. I don't know if the fight odds have come out of that yet. Because one, I think Tyson Fury does present the better boxing skill set. I do think that he's going to have some of that adjustment period that Deontay Wilder had to deal with as far as, going in there and not being the bigger guy. I think that's a tough thing for him. And, quite frankly, we saw Tyson take on a Deontay Wilder and bully him. And I think that was another gear that we hadn't seen quite from Tyson Fury yet. Not just the guy who's 6'9" and can dance and stick and move, but a guy who can be an enforcer. Do we necessarily see that against AJ? Maybe not, because maybe he looks upon AJ and sees it as a bit more dangerous. Obviously, with that hellacious uppercut, AJ's got a little bit more in the arsenal than Deontay does. Deontay is kind of a one-hitter quitter. He's got that right hand from God. It's the most devastating weapon in boxing. But I think you saw with Tyson Fury, it just, you give him that many rounds to duck and dodge it, he's gonna have it figured out and figured a different way out to beat Deontay, where he didn't really even give Deontay the space or the time to land that shot. All cheating allegations aside, of course, all that, loaded gloves, tucked up, shifted up glove, all that type of stuff. All that stuff put aside, if we're going to say it was all on the up and up, which I do believe it was, Tyson Fury found out a way to really negate that devastating weapon from Deontay Wilder. He's got a couple more weapons that he has to watch out for from AJ. He's got to watch out for the uppercut, the straight right hand, the left hook, all that type of stuff. AJ's got some really, really devastating stuff, especially in close quarters. You would think a guy like that, as pristine as he is, he would sit back on the jet. He really doesn't. And that, I think, could be a little bit of an advantage for him here, is that if Tyson tries that rough and tumble stuff that he did with Deontay, there will be some windows there. And there are going to be some tie-ups. There are going to be some awkward moments in this fight. And I do think that AJ's got an element to go to some more plans. I still think Tyson Fury wins. I don't think that he knocks Anthony Joshua out. I don't think that he does. I don't even know if that's going to be his plan, quite frankly. I think he'd almost want to go in there and kind of box the socks off in this type of a matchup, even though I know that he said in his little video that he'd knock him out in 2-3 rounds. I don't know if that's the way he goes about it. Maybe it is. Maybe it is, but maybe we see a new Tyson Fury. The one thing I will say about Tyson is he doesn't BS a whole lot. Like, if he says that's what he's going to go and do, that's typically what he goes out and he does. But I think it's going to be an amazing atmosphere. The one thing I will also say with that fight is, God, do I hope that we're able to have a real crowd for that bout, that it's not a COVID crowd, 1,000, 2,000. I hope that by the time we get to it, which would imagine be sometime in the summer, I'm hoping that we have a place where in the UK it can be an absolute monster. And I think it's okay to have this in the UK. I think the atmosphere would be worth more than the absolute than the pay-per-view time that they may lose out in America. But we'll see. I think that it would be cool. The first one is in England, and if they're gonna end up doing a rematch, maybe then do that one in America, in Vegas, and they come over. It's a shortened crowd. They have the whole experience. They get the American pay-per-view treatment, but that country deserves this fight to be in their backyard. There's no doubt about that. If Deontay Wilder, if we would have been able to get that fight, him versus AJ, then would have been a different story, but we didn't. I think that this is for the world championship, but they are both UK fighters, and I do think that the crowd would be just absolutely incredible. I think the atmosphere would be electric. I think the build-up to this fight is going to be electric. So I'm looking forward to all of that stuff. So congratulations to Anthony Joshua. An impressive win, a good win. Good to see him, I think, back to himself and, setting up for the Tyson Fury fight. I'm really, really looking forward to this matchup. I think it's going to be fun, and it's going to be great to finally have